Hello. Hello, my friends. It has been a minute, hasn't it? Oh my goodness. It feels so good to be back and to be getting back into routine and the swing of things. Because I have got to say, this last little trip to Florida really kind of threw routine and everything out the window, clear out the window. So it's been a little bit of a struggle box to kind of shake it all off, but we're here, we're getting back into the swing of things, and I'm so glad that I get to spend the next hour with you guys. If you are new here, welcome to my weekly community chat. It's an opportunity for us to kind of just get together and hang out a little bit. I like to think of it as having coffee with friends or dinner with friends or dessert with friends. You get to ask me questions, and whatever topics come up, and it's a good time. Let's see who is here today. We have Julie. Hi, Julie, and Lauren. Good to see you. And Lissa and Kim. Hi, hi. It is so good to see you all. Oh my goodness gracious. So, we went to, if you, for those of you that don't know, we went to Florida again. Yeah, does it feel like we just came back from there? Yes, because we did just come back from there. We came back in February after staying there since right after Thanksgiving. So we were there for an extended period of time. We left on February 10th. I believe is when we started the journey home, and then we got home somewhere around there, right? And then at the beginning of April, Eric's grandfather passed away. So, which we saw coming. We saw coming. We were mostly positive that when we saw him, when we said goodbye to him in February, it was going to be the last time we saw him alive. And that was the case. And so it was not unexpected, but after having just gotten back and getting back into the swing of things, to have to turn back around, go back. We flew this time, which was a whole nother mess of things. But we flew, but to go right back there and then do chaos again was a lot. It was a lot. And there was chaos because of course we're planning a funeral. My mother-in-law was a champion and planned most of the funeral. I apologize if there's noise. I have my window open because it is 52 degrees outside. There's no breeze, but I might have to close it if you guys can hear what's happening outside. I just didn't want to close it because any opportunity I have to get fresh air in here, I like to take that opportunity. So if it gets to be too much, let me know and I'll close the window. But this time when we went down, there was a funeral to plan. We had to set up the church and do all these things. I sang at the funeral, which was a lovely way for me to contribute what I know how to do best. So it was lovely. My mother-in-law asked me to sing this beautiful song, and I got to sing with the music minister from her church, which was awesome. He was a great duet partner. It was a lot of fun, really easy to work with, sounded great, good times had by all, given the occasion. But it was what I do best. And so that was lovely, and it was the first time since last November. Not November 2022, but November 2021 was the last time we saw my brother-in-law, his wife, and his 3 boys. And so we had the boys for what was it, like 4 days or something, just running around. And for a child-free couple and a typically very quiet and calm couple, having 3 boys, 11, almost 8, and 3 running around was pure and utter chaos. Pure and utter chaos in the best sense. It was wonderful to hang out with them. It was such a great time, but it was exhausting. I was so tired. Did I work out once that trip? No, I did not. Because the days where I was actually like, we were like, okay, the boys have left. We have a couple days here. Eric was working. I was so tired. I didn't even know what to do. I woke up one morning and actually went to like work on some coursework that I have to do for a course I signed up for. And I could literally, do you ever get that feeling where like your brain is not functioning on all cylinders? Not just you're tired, but like you're looking at your computer and just like you can feel the fog in your brain. You know what I'm talking about? I had that. I'm literally sitting there with my coffee going, am I absorbing any of this information? I actually don't know. Like, I was so tired, my brain wasn't even working. And so it was literally a couple of days after the boys left to when we left of virtually doing nothing. And it was exactly the rest that I needed. It was fine. And then we came back. And so then to top it off, we flew for the first time since since COVID for me. My husband has flown a couple times. This was my first time back in the airport since March of 2020, which was kind of crazy. And so it was a very surreal. It felt very normal, but also very surreal all at the same time. Have you guys traveled yet? In a post-COVID world, it was very I don't know, it felt very normal. It was fine. And then on top of it all, and I guess we can get into highs and lows with this. If people want to share what their highs and lows are, I would love that. Highs are, of course, if you want to share a celebration, and we got a couple weeks to cover. So anything that has happened that you want to share since I last talked to you, I would love to hear about it. And then on the flip sides, any low that you might have that you are willing to share with the community, we would love to hear that as well, so we can support one another in our struggles and lows and things of that nature. My what was it? Oh, my low. My low is I don't know if you can tell. I can tell. And today is the best day I've had so far. But Amberly, hi. My sinuses. I probably sound a little more nasally than normal, but I was battling allergies when Minnesota went from 32 to 80 overnight. Allergies hit me like a ton of pollen covered bricks. And then we went to Florida where there were other allergies. But then, of course, with three little boys running around, one of them had like pink eye and a cold. And like, Lord only knows if we picked up something. And so like when I got home, I sinus wise, I started to feel even worse. And I don't know if it's allergies or if I have a cold or what. I don't know. So that's my low. I went out today and I bought another neti pot. You're only supposed to keep your neti pots for a handful of months. So like I used one, and I think I started using one around this time last year. If memory serves, allergies got bad after we caught COVID in May. I never was able to like decongest from it. And I think that was the first time I went and got a neti pot and took it seriously. And so after days of not being able to breathe through my nose, I was like, today I went Target pickup and I'm like, I need to get a neti pot. And I did I did 2 packets worth. So like a whole pot for one side of my nasal passage and another for my other side. I usually split them up, and I'm actually doing better because of this goofy neti pot. It is such an annoying, painstaking process, but it works. It actually works. For those of you who don't know, neti pot's like that little like teapot looking thing with like the little bulbous thing on the end, and you actually stick it in your nose. You fill it with the saline solution in distilled water, not tap water, distilled water, and you stick your nose in it, or you stick it in your nose, and then you tilt your head, and the water goes through your sinuses and comes out to the other nostril, thus flushing out your sinuses. And then after you tilt back up and you can blow out all the stuff that's been like hanging out in the back. It's real gross, but it's real gratifying. And I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good. So that's my low. And my high is that we have been cleaning our house. Spring cleaning is in full swing, and our house is looking pretty good. And I'm very excited about it. So there's that. Navage, the Cadillac of what is that? Kim, why do you always gotta spend my money? What is that? I'm Googling it right now. Navage. Oh, what is this? Navage? I don't know what it is. Oh my word. I'm gonna have to look into whatever that thing is, because holy moly, it looks like a whole contraption. But I'm here for it. I almost like, part of me kind of wants, I'm also kind of scared of it, but you can either get like something that's like a water pick or an attachment for your water pick that's the not nasal thing, so you can actually get pressurized water to go up there and come back out. I don't know. I don't know. But it worked. I've only had to take 1 dose of Sudafed today. I've been living off of decongestants, Sudafed specifically, not the stuff you buy in the aisle. The only good Sudafed is the stuff you have to buy behind the counter. Don't take my word for it. I actually heard an allergist talk about it not too long ago, and I was like, "See, I told you years ago that over the counter stuff was crap. You need to just," and like, the regular Sudafed is still over the counter. You just have to go to the pharmacy to get it because it is a controlled substance. That's the only one that works. And so I've been living on that, and I've been taking Afrin, and I really hate taking Afrin unless I have to. And so I'm just been like, oh man, it has been rough. Fourth time flying in over a decade, so I didn't have much of a baseline. Yeah, it felt pretty normal. Alan, hello. My brain. Non-brain has no cylinders to operate on. I joined a gym a week ago Saturday. I've gone every day and done some kind of strength training workout 6 times since. And I think that a new electrolyte supplement are factoring into my random weird energy boost despite limited caffeine. Hey, that's pretty good. Electrolyte stuff is great as long as it's a high quality one. Scale is teasing me, which is more of an annoyance and the stress of looking for a job again. Number one selling during the allergy season. Amberly's chiming in with the info. And yes, behind the counter one is the kind you can use to make meth, but it works. It's the only one that works. I started following this guy on TikTok, Dr. Rubin. Alan Rubin, Dr. Rubin, he's an allergist. But he was one of the doctors that started talking about COVID during COVID times. And he started switching back to, I can't remember when I watched this, it was a while ago, allergy related content. And did a video on like his top 5 products for allergies and his top worst products for allergies. And I think his number one worst product for allergies was the Sudafed you buy in the aisles because he's like, it just doesn't work. Like FDA might be removing its approval because the drug has been proven to not work. And I was like, I told you that the day I took it for the first time. And I was like, this drug is crap. It does not work worth a darn. And so pseudoephedrine all the way. I call it the good stuff. It's the only stuff that I will recommend to people who need the decongestant. Yes, you can make meth out of it, apparently. But it's what you need sometimes. So that is the number one used decongestant in our house. Navage. I'm gonna have to look into that. Of course, I just bought a new one. I have the Waterpik type. The effectiveness is so Navage is where it's at. No kidding. How did I not know about this? How did I not know? Oh my gosh, now I'm really intrigued. Kind of annoyed that I bought an I should always talk to y'all before I make any purchases because one of you is going to have a suggestion for me and it's going to be the thing that I want. Um Excellent. That's really good. What electrolyte stuff are you using? Yeah, man. Speaking of things that you guys have made me purchase, and this is Kim again. This is Kim. Update on the Ninja Creamy. I love it. I freaking love it. It is worth the hype. It is absolutely worth the hype. And my mother-in-law ordered one. I told her about it and I was like, look, you can freeze your protein shakes and you can literally turn them into ice cream. I'd rather you be eating this kind of ice cream than bowls full of the higher calorie stuff. Please, like, think about it. And she was like, immediately, yes. And she bought one and we used it while we were there. We made incredible chocolate milk out of the Fairlife chocolate milk and a tablespoon of pudding. Instant sugar-free instant pudding mix. Y'all, it is so creamy. It is so smooth. It is so good and it doesn't have erythritol in it. There is sucralose in the Fairlife chocolate milk, but it ain't erythritol, so your girl's all over it. Oh my gosh, I love it. And I have only just begun. I haven't even tried a legitimate experiment with it yet. I have only done one um, Fairlife Core Power protein shake and I've done the chocolate milk a handful of times. My mother-in-law has tried a can of fruit and that worked really well for her. And I don't know what else she's tried. Oh, she's going to try peaches. She hasn't updated me on the canned peaches yet, but I've been following this account. I can't remember her name, but she's been doing a Can It Creamy thing and she's just trying all sorts of different things. So she's been really fun to watch. Like cereal milk, like making her own cereal milk. People have been putting Greek yogurt in as part of the base to make it really creamy and cheesecakey. It is so good. I cannot wait to explore it further. So thank you, Kim, for that. Did I tell y'all what my husband said? Because of course I went out and bought him, like, Kim, bless her, messaged me and said the creamy is back in stock at Costco. Go order it. And I did. I did not consult with my husband. I was just like, we're going to get this appliance, whether he decides we are going to or not. And I ordered the appliance for $119. And he of course was like, where are we going to put this? We have no place for this. Blah, 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 blah. All the reasons that we shouldn't have the new appliance. And then he saw what it could do. And he didn't believe me at first. He watched me make all this stuff and he's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then I made the Fairlife chocolate milk ice cream. I like the creamy. I whipped it up and I said, here, try this. And he started eating it and he goes, well, what's in this? And I go, it's literally just chocolate milk. That time I did it with just chocolate milk instead of with the pudding, which does make a difference in my opinion. It's icier without the pudding and it is creamier, more like ice cream with the pudding, FYI. And he goes, "Well, I think that this purchase was justified." He goes, "I just spent money on hockey apparel that I didn't need, and which was almost the same amount of money, and you definitely got the better end of that deal. So we're good. It's fine." I'm like, yes, it's awesome when it's justified, right? Like, you see, I told you this was the coolest thing ever. Um, and it is. So I've been really enjoying it. If you have any recipes that you really like, shoot them over to me because I would love to try all of the things now with the Ninja Creamy. Navage. Navage, is that how you pronounce it? Navage? The caffeinated one. Buoy. Huh. Oh, buoy is kind of like caffeine and B vitamins. Zip Fizz is very similar. Didn't expect much, but blown away. Yes, that's the thing. Like I expected it to be fine. I did not expect it to work so freaking well. I was mind blown by this machine. Absolutely mind blown. Seriously. For a few weeks, my sister didn't like hers, and I don't know if it's coincident, but the constant cold symptoms I had for a week are finally gone. Interesting, interesting. Yeah, well, in electrolyte mixes, I'm no medical professional, but like when I was using Element, when I was trying out Element, it has really important nutrients, minerals in it. Magnesium. A lot of people are deficient in magnesium. It has magnesium, it has potassium. Like these electrolyte mixes, the good ones, have other minerals and things that your body needs to actually function. And yes, stay hydrated, but like also just function optimally. So if you're deficient in one of those things and all of a sudden you start taking something that is giving you the things you're deficient in, it stands to reason that you would start to feel better, right? So that's awesome. I'm glad you're finding something that's making you feel pretty good. That's great. All right, my friends, I gotta take a sip of water because with all this nasal stuff, my voice has been woof. I like at the beginning of this week, I vlogged bits and pieces of things, but I have not actually like picked up and filmed the camera. I have not done this. Vlogged with the thing all week, like just sitting down and talking because today is the first day that I actually feel capable of talking. It's been rough, yo. So anyway, let's do Q&A time. Ask me anything, y'all, or what topics do you want to talk about tonight? I'm going to start with Kim's question that she submitted, which was, what did you keep from your Stitch Fix box? Answer me this, riddle me this, y'all. I post world's most random video. Random. I filmed it, yes. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna have it because I wanted to backlog enough content so I did not have to work while I was in Florida at all. And that is exactly what happened. I had all of the videos I needed uploaded and ready to go. And so I made the Stitch Fix one as a fill-in video to make sure that I had something, right? I post this goofy, awful, I didn't even have a legitimate conclusion because I was lost for words video about my Stitch Fix haul, and it does better than so many of my other videos. I'm sitting there watching all of the views and the comments and everything, and I'm like, why? What? And don't get me wrong, I'm thrilled, but like I didn't work nearly as hard on that video as I did on other videos, and that's the one that takes off. Why? I'm like, what am I missing here? What am I doing? Is it how I titled it? Because I explicitly titled it mid-size Stitch Fix haul because I ain't no little thing, right? But I'm not plus size either. So I consider myself very solidly a mid-sized woman. Is that like what about that video made so many more people click? I don't know, but it was one of my most viewed and most engaged videos that I've uploaded recently. So if you haven't watched it, you should go watch it because I talk all about my experience with this quarter's, this whatever I decide to order it, Stitch Fix box. Stitch Fix is a clothing subscription where they curate 5 pieces for you, send them to your door, you get to try them on, and then you decide which ones you keep and which ones you want to send back. I kept the jeans. Of all the things, I kept the jeans, and it was a daunting choice. I literally, like, I how many times I put them on the video? I put them on twice in the video. I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. I can't decide. Oh." And then I took them off and I was like, "You know what? No." And then I got that pair of jeans that I'm wearing now, currently the ones from Target, and I was like, these are good. These are enough. They're close enough. I don't need to spend the money on the other pair of jeans." And the next morning, I got home, or like I think I got home from Target or whatever. I put the Stitch Fix jeans on before I went to go pack up the rest of my Stitch Fix box to return it. And I put them on and I was like, man, but I really like the way I look in these jeans. They're comfortable. They're a little bit edgier because they have the bit of distressing in them, but they're so, so comfortable and easy to move in. It makes me feel kind of on trend without having to do any work. And I just love them so much. So I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to get the jeans. I'm going to keep the jeans. So I kept the jeans and I do not regret it. I love them. I absolutely love them. So it was a good choice. And I'm glad I did it. I am glad I did it. Okay, let's see what other questions we have. Full transparency, I tried to go through and delete the questions that I answered, but I still had that whole list of other questions that ChatGPT curated for me. I think I got all of the ones that I answered last time, but I'm not sure. So call me out if this was a repeat question. But one of the questions was, what are some of your favorite hobbies and interests outside of work? You want to know what's really kind of sad is that it actually takes me a little bit to be like, what are my favorite hobbies outside of work? Because for me, a lot of stuff still feels like work. And you know what I mean? Like, what are the things that I do in a day? I work out, Lord willing. I cook food. I and track and do all that. But like all and I do like the filming and the fitness coaching and the whatever. And I'm like, what do I do that's outside of what you guys know me as the most, right? Um and I wanna say, like, reading, I finished some of my books that I have half read this month, so I'm really, really excited that, like, I'm actually on the bandwagon with reading again, and it feels really good, but it took me until almost May. It took me until almost May to get back into the swing of that, which is fine. It is what it is, but, like, I wanna say that I'm a reader, but I feel like right now, calling myself a reader is kind of a lie, but it is something that I aspire to be. It's something I aspire to be. My piano, I sat at the piano for the first time yesterday. Since that day I live streamed for you guys. How long ago was that? I don't even know. But technically, music is one of my hobbies, right? Singing at church, Bible study, all of those things. Playing with makeup sometimes, but sometimes not, and watching TV. Like watching shows. My husband and I are still watching Castle and Boy Meets World, and I'm watching Bones, and, like, that's all I have time for. And so, like, I feel like, is that the right answer? And I know there's no right answer for, like, what are your favorite hobbies or interests outside of work, but, like, is that enough? Am I on the right track here? I don't know. Nail colors. Nail colors are my jam. Um, I used to be really into like scrapbooking and stuff and crafting and those kind of things, but I was never really good at it. I just liked it because, stickers and whatever. But really it's all of those things. And dating my husband, going out to eat and doing things with him. We go to the arboretum, spending time outside. I love it. It's not a hobby, but like I really like when the weather warms up enough where I can have coffee on the patio or I can sit out on the patio in the middle of the afternoon. I really like that. I don't know if that's a hobby or interest, but it's something I enjoy doing. I feel like that's I don't know. I feel like that's not a great answer, but also it's my life, so who the heck cares? Like I should not feel imposter syndrome from my own answers to my question, which is really bizarre. Um, let's delete that one. What's your favorite food or type of cuisine? So, my husband would tell you that I have a problem with superlatives in that when I say I have a favorite of something, there's like five favorites. I don't have a singular favorite of literally anything, except my favorite human is my husband and my favorite dog is my dog. Those are 2 things I can say with certainty, but other than that, like, what's your favorite food? Well, I have one in every genre of food, right? So, I have, let's see, my favorite food, I love cake. For dessert, it is cake, cupcakes in any form, cheesecake, cupcakes, preferably cake with loads of frosting on it. Oh, delightful, delicious. I also am a really, really big fan of pizza. I am a snob when it comes to pizza because I was raised in Chicago and a good Chicagoan is a pizza snob. But I love pizza. Will never turn down pizza. Big fan of pizza. But I also love sushi. My favorite type of cuisine is probably Asian food, specifically more under the Japanese influences. I love eel sauce. I love soy sauce. I love spicy mayo. I love that anything that I can turn into getting that sushi flavored vibe, which is why I've been making salmon bowls and poke bowls so much because I never tire of that flavor. Never. I have this recipe for a really, really good miso salad dressing that is just to die for if you're into that umami miso flavor, that Asian flair. It's so good. And I use it on salads and stuff, yes, but it's also really, really good if you use it as like a sauce on your fish, cook your fish with the sauce on it. Oh my gosh, it's mind-blowing good. So I think if I had to pick a favorite type of cuisine, it would be Asian cuisine airing towards Japanese influence. But like my favorite food, I have many different favorite foods. I love cheeses. I love like, you know what I mean? High quality, delightful food. That is my favorite. Um, Hyperfixating on specific topics. Yeah. Changes from day to day. Oh, and I'm currently really digging avocados. Way into the avocado right now. I have found, no joke, that on the days where I consume an entire avocado first thing in the morning, not like by itself, but like on my avocado toast today, I bought some avocados at the beginning of the week and none of them were ripe. So finally they started to ripen. So I'm like, okay, I got to use this avocado today. So I ate the whole thing on avocado toast. It keeps me full for so long. For so long. The whole avocado was like 160 calories. Like, not a big deal. It kept me full for so I have not eaten dinner yet. I am not hungry. For lunch, I had a breakfast planned, a lunch planned, a snack one, like a cold Mediterranean salad snack and a heat bar planned, and a dinner planned. I have eaten my breakfast, the Mediterranean salad, and the heat bar. I have not had lunch. I have not had dinner. I am not hungry. I swear to you, it's because I eat the freaking avocado in the morning. So currently, avocados are really high up there on the list of favorite foods. Not gonna lie to you. So stinking good. Um, what is a value or principle that you hold dear and why is it important to you? So I mean, I align very heavily with the Christian values, specifically of the words that Jesus taught us of love thy neighbor as thyself. I'm a big believer in kindness goes a long way. There's no need to be a jerk. There's no need to be mean. I really value like it's such a simple thing. Smile at people. Be kind to people. The other day when we got back to the airport and returned our rental car in Florida, my husband, for whatever reason, packed like several of these like mini 8-ounce water bottles, like plastic water bottles, that were disposable, but alongside his 32-ounce water bottle for a 2-hour drive. And so we got there and we're cleaning out the car. And I'm like, what are we supposed to do with these water? I'm like, I don't want to just throw them away. And he's like, well, we can throw them away. But the nice man who was manning the rental car returns was just, striking up casual conversation while we were emptying up, telling us to take our time. And I looked at him and I'm like, would you like these? They're unopened and you're working in a garage in Florida. Would you like to stay hydrated? And he goes, actually, I would love that. And so I gave him the water bottles. And it's such a little thing. Like have a pleasant conversation with somebody. Offer them a little act of kindness. I am big, big, big on kindness. And when I'm in my optimal, I'm also big on patience. I have to keep encouraging my husband to have patience because it is something he does not have. Um, but, like, just all of the things, it's like a generally slower and kinder air about life. Those are values that I hold really, really dear. Um, so there's that kindness. Kindness goes a long, long way. Long, long way. From my Lenten worship, do I have any insights? Chronicles is really, really long. That's so my Lenten Bible study specifically was the reading of First and Second Chronicles. And for anybody who knows the Bible out there, it is a lot of names. A lot of names. I read probably hundreds of names. The first 3 days was literally nothing but names because it is an account of the entire genealogy from I can't even remember where it started, but, like, it's a long genealogy, and the whole concept was even before Jesus, God was there with us through all of these kings and all of these dynasties, and the kings that kept the Lord's values and the kings that did not keep the Lord's values, and what happened to those kings, and all of those things, and how God is faithful through it all. And, but it was a lot of names, and then finally on Holy Week, we got to Jesus, and we talked about Jesus for a little bit, and I was like, "Oh, thank goodness," because that was a lot of names, and so it was a little bit harder to really, like, enjoy, especially the Bible study part of my Lenten Bible study because it was very, um textbook and methodical and all of those things. I did learn something, which I feel like is something I probably should have already known, and maybe in the back of my mind I did know, but I didn't realize. A lot of my Old Testament knowledge comes from Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, which is one of my favorite movies. So I'm really good at the story of Joseph, and I know all 12 of the brothers, right? And I guess I didn't realize that in throughout the Bible, the 12 brothers all branched out and they were each individual tribes. Whole tribes of people stemmed from these brothers. And so as I was reading through all of this, I started to track where all of these people were coming from and how this group of people could lead back to this one person who I knew. And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Like, okay, I'm starting to get a better understanding, and that's great." One thing that I guess I technically when did I start reading The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry? It was probably actually post-Easter or pretty close to post-Easter, so I can't even consider it to be Lenten, but I learned a lot in that book too, especially about slowing down and lessening the hustle and the importance of taking the Sabbath. So my next Bible study do I have it up here? Well, where did I put it? I have a Bible study about the Sabbath. It's a 14-day Bible study that I plan on doing next. And I'm very excited about that and embracing the slowness and the rest and the simplicity. And it was a really, really great read. And it turns out that John Mark Comer, the person who wrote The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, has a whole bunch of books. And so I'm very excited to look into those books as well because I really liked what he had to say. It was really, really great. Any insights from what you added or what you got rid of? The days are better when you start with God first. Like truly, the days are better. I have also discovered my discipline with the putting the phone down was not stellar most of the time. But my tolerance of the phone has gradually gotten to be less and less. So, like, if I don't know if y'all have noticed, but like I've barely been visible on Instagram lately. I haven't been posting things. I pop in on a story once in a while. Or like last night when I was making my Ninja Creamy, I was like, oh, I guess I should share this. But I haven't like sat and talked or did a post that wasn't pre-planned in what feels like quite some time. And I kind of don't care. Like, that's kind of where I'm at, and I'm getting to the point now where, like, when I reach for this, I notice that I will automatically open social media, but almost immediately, I'll see, like, the first 5 stories pop up, and I'll be like, "Eh," and I close it, and so, like, I still keep gravitating towards my phone, but instead, I'm flipping to, like, a game or something that's not social media because I think I've finally hit that tipping point where I'm just like, I'm kind of annoyed with social media. And not for any particular reason. Just I think because it's just my own like I've been watching so much of it and doing so much of it and comparing myself to so much of it that I'm just like, you know what? I'm over it. I don't want to. And so like the whole week that we were in Florida, I didn't really post all that much. And do you know what? It was fine. I watched some TV. I hung out with my nephews. We built Legos. We played video games. It was a fun time had by all. I talked to my brother-in-law's wife, and we had great conversations. It was a great time. And hours would go by and I realized that my phone was in another room. And it didn't matter. Just today, I took my phone with me to go to Target and I left it in my purse after I got home. And it took me about an hour and a half to go and get it. I was like, huh, well, that's interesting. So while I did not adhere explicitly to the sincere discipline of not using my phone, I think emotionally I grew and I started to get there, which felt really good, to be honest. Like it's still obviously a major work in progress, but it's very exciting to me that like social media doesn't have this hold on me right now, which is really great. And yes, I'll find myself like checking like the same people's stories over and over again. And I'm like, why? I have 24 hours to go back and I can watch everybody's stories all at once and it's fine. Um, but it has helped. So starting my day in quiet time is very, very good, very, very valuable. And my threshold for social media is becoming less and less, which is top notch, really good. Good question, Samberly. What's next? What's next? What is your favorite way to unwind or de-stress? I mean, so the end of the day, like this is our routine. For better or for worse, this is our routine. At the end of the day, if I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing ideally, I will get ready for bed early because that's like the first signal to myself like, okay, time to chill is makeup comes off, wash my face, brush my teeth, get everything set up the coffee, set up my APAP machine, all of that. So then when my husband becomes available, what we do at night is we watch one episode of TV. Or if we're watching Boy Meets World, maybe we'll watch two. We'll watch two episodes of Boy Meets World or one episode of Castle. And that's all we have time for on the day to day. That's all we have time for. One way that I unwind, especially when I'm feeling overwhelmed, if my space is cluttered, and people are going to roll their eyes, but if my space is cluttered, I clean. Cleaning is a great way for me to unwind because I become immediately in control of the situation. And so if I have a whole bunch of stuff around me, and there are some days that it doesn't bother me. There are some days that I can have clutter. My husband looked at me when I was cooking the other day and I had like stuff left over from the grocery uh, shop on the counter. And so there was just a lot surrounding me. And he's like, how can you work like that? Why don't you clean off your space first? I'm like, because I'm going to have to clean it again when I'm done. So I might as well just do it all at once instead of like doing things on repeat. But then there are some times where, like, when I feel triggered by the stuff around me, and that's when it behooves me and actually distresses me to clean or to get rid of things. I find a lot of de-stressing in the act of throwing something away or giving it away or getting rid of it. I finally was able to print labels and package up some of the giveaways that I did a couple weeks ago. And it felt good to just have them. They're not in my office anymore. And I was like, hallelujah, that feels so good. But when when I really need to decompress, I sit in silence. And I'm not joking. I literally will sit in dead silence. And I really like it when either my husband's not home or if he happens to not be on a call. So he's just upstairs working and you can't really hear anything. Because I don't get silence often because he's on calls all day. So I can typically hear him jabbering away. So it's never quiet for me anymore. So when I can, I will sit in silence. And it is, I call it an Enneagram 9 trait because I think it is, but like it really, that makes me feel better. And there will be days where like, because a lot of times like I'll have headphones in, I'll watch a YouTube video, I'll be watching an episode of Bones while I'm doing something, or I'll be listening to music. And then there are days and I'm like, you know what I need? Nothing. I need dead quiet. So now that it's warming up outside, I'm very excited because I will be able to go outside and seek some of that quiet or mostly quiet, even if my husband is upstairs working. Which is really, really great because the truest way to get me to decompress is to just let me sit in silence. And sometimes that's just me sitting in my recliner and I am playing with, I'm not scrolling social media. During decompression time, I'm not scrolling social media, but I will play that like Harry Potter game that I talked about, or something where like I'll have the sound turned off, no sound, just something for me to let my brain wander and just be quiet. That is the biggest way I decompress. Um, so it's nothing fun, but it works. It works really well. More sense prep my food and get something going in the oven, then clean up. Yep. 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 What is something you're currently trying to improve about yourself? Oh, where do I begin? Where do I begin? I'm well, for one, phone usage. For two, mindset about pretty much everything. Really, truly. I just read this phenomenal book that's really, really short called, let me look in the Discord channel because that's the most recent place for me to be able to find it. Can't remember what it's called. The Power of TED, The Empowerment Dynamic by David Emerald. My husband actually got his hands on this book through a leadership course he was taking, and he read it. And then he's like, I think you should read this. And I was like, okay, you want me to read a personal development book? I will read the personal development book. And it is a 145 page, itty bitty little book. It took me 3 days to read, and probably just about 2 hours to read. Like that was it. And it was great. And the whole concept is going from this mindset of victim mindset where everything is happening to you and oh woe is me and it's everybody's fault but my own and blah 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 blah, and the dramatic circle that starts to perpetuate, and how in the victim's role there, or in the victim's mindset, there's a victim, a persecutor, and a rescuer, and it talks all about that cycle and how people and situations and circumstances play into that. And then it talks about what is the opposite of victim. And spoiler alert, the opposite of victim is creator, which I thought was so profound because all of a sudden, when you're playing the victim, all of a sudden you have to play the role. You're like, oh, or I could be the role of creator. And all of a sudden, like, even when I say the word, like, I am a creator of things, it empowers me so much to be like, well, what the heck can I create? What can we do? Let's go. And so it does swing into, and my husband and I, we didn't argue about it, but we talked about it. I looked at him and I was halfway through the book. I'm like, you realize this is a bit of a book on manifestation, right? And we talked about manifestation a little bit. And then the more I read after our conversation, I was like, no, one of the key concepts in this book is the mindset required to go out there and get the life you want. And they use the word manifest in it multiple times. So I kind of understood the concept already, but it was explained to me in a whole new process, which was really, really good. So I'm actively working on that mindset shift, making sure I regularly wake up feeling like I am the creator and doing creator mindset things and all of that. And I'm also doing, oh my gosh, I had it and then it just slipped. Creator mindset stuff. What else am I actively working? Oh, leaning into the whole idea of embracing the identity of the person that you want to be rather than the person you think you are. Um, because like, for example, in spoiler alert, No Way May's free 31-day weight loss challenge is a video that's going up tomorrow. And I just filmed it. And in that, like for me personally, I talk about, checking all of the boxes without having the scale looming over me and blah, 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 blah. All that to say, the goal of the next month is to really lean into the habits and the tasks and the things that need to get done in order to create this thing you want without having the proof that you're actually obtaining the thing that you want. You just have to have faith that it's happening because you're taking the right steps towards it. And so it's kind of the same concept, embracing the identity of a person who's at goal weight, at her goal size, at her goal aesthetic, embracing the identity of somebody who has a thriving coaching business and 100,000 followers or subscribers on YouTube, embracing the identity of insert identity traits here, and waking up every day and being like, I am that person. What would that person do today? What choices would she make today? And it is so easy for me to repeat that and say that, but to actually remember to get up in the morning and stop and think that for a second and get into her head is something that I'm actively working on. What's your favorite holiday and why do you enjoy it? Christmas is my favorite holiday. For all of the reasons, but normally, like in the last couple of years, Christmas has been a lot more about like, oh, the chaos of travel and this and that. But like, I think the nostalgia of the kid is kind of what I cling on to, and just all of the joy that that brings. And I'm not saying that Christmas doesn't bring me joy now as a 36-year-old adult, but it feels so different. But like that whole season still brings me so much joy. The shopping for gifts, when we can actually be home. Lord Jesus, hear me. I want to be home long enough to actually decorate my home. But when I'm in a home that is decorated for Christmas and feels festive, when I'm drinking the festive coffees, when I'm doing the festive things, it just gives me this sense of joy and lightness that I don't have the rest of the year, which is really nice because it starts the season that I like, the actual physical season that I don't really enjoy. I'm really distracted by wondering what the heck they're doing over there. They must be painting their garage or something. There's a big trailer looking thing outside, and then like the garage is completely empty. I don't know what's happening. Um, but it's Christmas. It's so full of tradition. And then there's like now the when I'm in Illinois for Christmas, I stay with my grandfather, and he and I made like that one year he and I made the Christmas tree cake that my grandma used to make together. And it was just such a fun little memory that I will cherish and hold with me forever. And it's like it's because of this Christmas tree cake that I have that memory with my grandfather, which is so nice. And I just love it. It just makes me happy. And like, don't get me wrong, the other holidays are great. They're fine. Love me some Halloween festivities. Like it's all well and good, but there's a special place in my heart for Christmas, for sure. What's a place you visited that you would love to go back to? New York City. Hands down. At some point in my life, I'm going to do the Great Broadway Tour, and my husband knows this. And what is the Great Broadway Tour? It is where Brianna goes to New York for a week, preferably with her husband, and they spend a whole bunch of money getting really great seats to a whole bunch of shows. My husband knows that this is on my list of things that I need to do, maybe more than once in the rest of our lives, um, because it's just you gotta go to Broadway, gotta go to Broadway, and I've only been there once, and it was a short trip in 2003? 2002? 2003? No, 2004. Um, and it was lovely. It was great. We saw Hairspray and we saw Wicked with Idina Menzel in it, which is the whole point of me going. My mom took me for my 18th birthday so I could see the original Elphaba in the role of Elphaba. And it was lovely and magical. And I just want to go to New York and be New Yorkie and go to the Harry Potter store and maybe even find some shows off Broadway. There's a lot of shows on Broadway and off Broadway right now that I would really love to see. So that's really where I'd wanna go. I also wanna go on another cruise, but, like, that's booked. I know that that's coming, but, like, I really would love to go back to New York City and just do all the Broadway, all the Broadway. Oh my goodness. Yep, yep. Thanksgiving week of 2004 is when I went. Can you explain the oh, I didn't see this question coming. Can you explain the concept of calories in and calories out and how it relates to weight loss? Why, yes. Yes, I can. So the idea of calories in versus calories out is a calorie is what makes up the energy that you use, right? So when you have enough energy for fuel, your body functions normally, right? When you take in too much energy, too many calories, more than your body needs, your body is going to store those extra calories that you're not using for later. Too many stored calories. It stores a little bit of it in your liver, it stores a little bit more of it in your muscles. But if you don't empty out those reserves that are in your muscles, it's going to store the rest of it as you guessed it, fat. So, if you are taking in too many calories and the calories out are not equal to the calories in, then you are going to gain weight. If your calories in and your calories out are equal, you are going to stay the same. And if your calories in is less than your calories out, so you're actually going into the negative in terms of like a bank account, right? If you're spending more money than you're putting in, your account's going to go negative and you're going to lose weight. Plain and simple. That also reminds me, I have another question that got submitted on my NGL thing that I don't think I actually answered the other day, but it's a question worth answering. And it said, I heard someone say that anything up to 10,000 steps a day is considered sedentary, but I've also heard sedentary is under 5,000 steps. What are your thoughts? Whoever told you that 10,000 steps a day is considered sedentary is a liar. They are a liar. So in terms of how the elaborate math choices that I have to make when it comes to calculating calories for somebody, our lowest number, our lowest activity multiplier is qualified by somebody who gets 5,000 steps or less a day and doesn't really work out. So I would consider 5,000 steps or less to be sedentary. And but like once you get into the arbitrary number that was given to us was 10,000. Studies are actually now starting to show that you can reap the same benefits in your body with anywhere from 8 to 12,000 steps a day. Obviously, more steps means more calorie burn, which means you get to eat more food. If you're trying to lose weight, you lose more weight, all of those things. But people are starting to realize that like you can actually get a pretty solid amount of like your daily activity at an 8,000 steps per day level rather than a 10,000 step per day. I still strive for 10,000 steps per a day because I like that nice round number, but my fallback number, my bare minimum number, if I'm going to miss my 10,000 steps a day, I strive to get at least 8,000 steps a day. That is my goal. So 10,000 is absolutely in no way considered sedentary, but 5,000 and under tends to be considered sedentary. But someone who a lot of people trust for advice is really pushing 10,000. I would love to know who that is because that is not true at all. At all. We're talking like fitness people like Jordan Syatt get around 10,000 steps a day. Like that's not sedentary. Do you know how much work you have to do as somebody who has a 10,000 step a day goal? Do you know how hard I have to work to get that? Like, no, that's not sedentary. On my most sedentary days, I like, if I'm being honestly sedentary, I can actually tell you. Let me tell you what my honest to God sedentary days look like. Because I had a handful of those. Look at all those sedentary days. Let's see. Um, okay, so Tuesday the boys were here. So Wednesday we had no boys. 5,900 steps. 4,887 steps, 6,000 steps. And then I think I was back to 10,000 steps because we were at the airport. Yep, 11,000 steps. My sedentary days, I still get 4,000 to 5,000 steps on sedentary days. And I was literally the laziest I have been in a long time on those days. The laziest I have been. So I consider those days to be sedentary, and I still got a decent amount. Feel free to message me privately. I'm very, very curious. One of my favorite podcasts talking about the history and myths of the 10,000 step goal. Yeah, the 10,000 step goal thing is starting to become a not true thing. Now, don't get me wrong. I think it's a great thing to strive for because statistically speaking, and personally speaking, here's the thing. When I am eating in a calorie deficit, great. I find my scale is determined not by just the calorie deficit. And this is just me. It could be my body, but I have found historically and regularly that on the days that I am in a calorie deficit and I get 10 to 12,000 steps, the days that I am getting those steps is the days when the results happen. That's when the results happen. My body thrives, does a great job as long as I'm actively moving regularly. And it makes sense because then you're putting out more energy, and which means you're using more calories. It makes perfect sense. So the higher number is absolutely the way to go. I have a client who averages, no joke, she averages 14,000 steps a day. She's a rock star. And she gets to eat 2,300 calories because of it daily. She's maintaining like a champion. And it is because she is so active that she can do that. which is great. I get 10,000 at least most days. I work with kids at school on my feet. I am not sedentary. Exactly. No way. There is no way the 10,000 steps is sedentary. Whoever said that is lying to you. Is lying to you. Their overall summary is an arbitrary number was picked out of thin air. It doesn't mean anything. Tracking steps can decrease the enjoyment of moving for some people, which is true. It can. I personally thrive on it because I am now there's a saw. That's really obnoxious. We've only got 4 minutes left, so I'm not going to worry about it too much. But I thrive off of knowing my number because I can very easily by sitting down and doing nothing. I can very easily skip out on the steps. So this thing keeps me honest and I can go, oh, really? I really haven't been moving all that much today. I should get up and go do something, as opposed to being like, well, I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's fine. I'm just going to, I'm just going to let it be. And then I'd probably only be averaging maybe 6,000 to 8,000 instead of the 10 to 12. But that works for me, which is different than other people. Exactly. That's 100% true. I'm so glad, Kim. That makes me so happy. How's your water intake doing? How's your water intake? Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. The diet culture stuff is absolutely nonsense. Then there's a lot of it that is toxic and harmful and stuff that I watch. And I actually talked to my sister-in-law about this because we were all raised, if you're around my age, you were raised by the generation that started the diet mindsets that we are trying to break right now. Right? So we were literally raised by this. I learned from my sister-in-law, Kristen, the real small, petite, wildly active and healthy one. I learned that she found books and like magazine articles and stuff laying around the house that her mother was reading for like how to keep flat abs and whatever. And she was like 12 years old and she would take these books and do the ab workouts in her room because she didn't want to get a tummy. And so I looked at her and I was like, so you actually do have diet mindset problems. And now all of the choices that she made when she was younger has become second nature to her now. And now she actually she prefers to be healthy. She's not doing it out of a need to stay a certain size, but she has struck the balance of she's wildly active and she loves to eat healthy and she knows where that balance is for her. But it started, and it pained me to learn that it started for her the same way it started for so many of us. Flat tummy this, diet mindset that, blah, 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 blah. And it's all from the previous generation that we're trying to bust through it, What podcast is this? Do you want to share what podcast it is? Yeah, I was going to say something about the Hollises, but I don't even know if I want to talk about it, to be honest with you. Let me just throw this out there. Dave's cause of death was revealed. So there's that. I'm doing really well with the water, but that's okay. That's okay. You're drinking your water. I have no qualms with that whatsoever. I add stuff to my water too. Sometimes it's lemon, sometimes it's Zip Fizz. Sometimes I add stuff to my water too. Stomach sucking workouts when I was in elementary school. Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Oh, I knew you were going to call it maintenance phase. Kristen also really loves maintenance phase. She's like, you got to listen to maintenance phase. It's a great podcast. So yes, maintenance phase has all sorts of stuff happening on it. And I do need to sit down and listen to that at some point. Yeah. Good topic to end on. Oh, the diet mindset. It is something, let me tell you. All right, my friends, it is 8:00. So I'm going to let you guys go. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. It was such a great conversation. We've got a new podcast to listen to. I gave you a new book to read. Come back next week for some more fun and conversation and Q&A session. As per usual, thanks for coming. I appreciate each and every one of you. Take care, and I'll talk to you later. Bye, guys.